Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Talking Over episode 2. My special guest today is David Dunn out of Caddo Mills, Texas. He is the current area director for Area 15, and he's been with Toastmasters for about 2 years. Welcome, David. Thanks for being on the show.
You bet. I'm glad to be here.
So your journey started 2 years ago. That's a year and a half longer than mine. What led you to Toastmasters?
I had decided that I wanted to improve on my public speaking, and I had heard of Toastmasters for years, probably 10 or 15 years, and decided I wanted to make improving my public speaking a New Year's resolution, and found the club in Greenville.
Nice. You've mentioned before to me in passing about Speakeasy. Is that your first club?
Yes, sir. That's my first club.
So that club's where your heart's at, huh?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Awesome. So how in 2 years did you go about becoming an area director?
I joined the club, and the first set of elections after I joined, my club asked me if I would run for the office of VP of Public Relations. And I held that position for, I guess, 3 terms. And I ran into the division director, Kim Adams, at a conference, and she came to me during the spring contest and asked me if I would consider putting in my application for Area 15 director.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. You know, I got a special place in my heart for VP of PR. I am
Yes, sir.
the current PR for Awesome Articulators. It's really allowed me to explore my creativity as COVID-19 hit, and we are trying to reach people differently than we have in the past. But it's more like an opportunity for us at Awesome Articulators being a corporate club. Now we're able to spread our reach a little bit more. You mentioned a little bit too about contests. I know Friday, September 11th actually kicks off fall contest season. If you're listening at home and you want to know when your district or your area within your district is doing your contest, you can go to d50tm.org/contest/fall20 and scroll down the very many names on that list until you find your area. I see ours for Area 15, the Eastern Division, is not until October 3rd. So, but I would encourage everybody to compete and at least get your feet wet if it's your first competition. So, for anybody that's watching this that might be interested in participating in a contest, what would you say those formats are like? I've never been. I'm personally interested in possibly the engaging humor. Our president, Holly Graham, is kind of saying that I'd be good for it, and I think I might pursue it. What can I expect?
The contests this fall are all going to be Zoom contests. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, just that you're going to be giving your speech without the normal feedback that you would get from your audience. That's one of the things that I've struggled with, is not being able to take the visual cues and auditory cues from my audience that I'm on the right track. During the contest, all of the audience members are muted and their cameras must be turned off. And so you are giving your speech to a blank screen. But it really worked out for the spring contest. And District 50 has been working very hard for the last few months to make sure that the fall contests go even more smoothly than the spring contests did.
Well, that certainly intimidated me a lot more than I already might have been. I was doing a table topics today. Our meetings are on Tuesdays. And I opened with a joke, which I thought was great, borderline not so great, but everybody was muted. And the one person that did laugh was like on the next page, I suppose. But telling comedy to a blank wall sounds even worse. Because if nobody's laughing, then you just look like a fool. And I feel like I would assume the worst and guess that nobody was laughing.
Right.
So were you doing the humorous speech? What contest were you in, you said?
I was in the international speech contest both times
Oh,
that I competed.
okay. That sounds like the top of the mountain. Can you tell me any about, you ever heard of the Tall Tales contest? You
Yes,
know anything
sir.
about those?
The Tall Tales contest are generally humorous speeches, but they stretch the truth out even more than the humorous contest. So stories like Johnny, sorry,
No worries.
what's the guy with the big axe and
Paul
the
Bunyan?
purple? Yes, Paul Bunyan. That's the type of stories that the Tall Tales will be, is bigger than life stories.
So you telling that as well to a blank screen?
Yes, sir.
What do you think the thought process behind those rules are? Because I don't know. Just anything with comedy, you would want to see if you're on the right track or if you need to change directions.
Right. The problem that they have run into when they've allowed the cameras to be on or the mics to be unmuted is that people don't always behave themselves and they distract the speaker. And so to make it as a even as possible playing field, that's why they do the screens off and the mics muted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I
But
guess I can relate. Go ahead.
for the fall contest, it's going to be humor speech and evaluations are the two contests, and hopefully by the springtime when we do Tall Tales and international, I hope we're back in person and get to actually be in the rooms with each other.
That would be great. I mean, the positive responses from the audience is what keeps people going in Toastmasters.
Absolutely.
So now about the process of the contest. So I start out doing at a club level, right?
Mhm.
Then where do I go next? And then after that, and then after that, walk us through that process.
For all of the contests other than international contest, you start at your club level and then you go to area, which in our case, it's the 4 clubs that are centered around the Greenville area. And then from there, you go to division. Division goes all the way from Rockwall to Shreveport. That's the Eastern Division. Once you're past division, then you go to district and you'll compete in the district contest. Now, the international contest has a couple of more steps. After district, then you go to qualifying grounds, competing against speakers from all over the world until you finally make it to the international contest, and that's where you compete to be the champion of public speakers.
How many people are you competing against at the various rounds?
In area, it'll be 4. In division, it's 1 from each area. And I believe that's will be 6 for us. And then when you get to district, then it's 1 from each division. And again, I believe that's 6.
Are the contestants changing their story every time, or do you just pick a really good one and ride it to the sunset?
You can change your story, but almost nobody does. You pick it up and then you improve it each round. But for the most part, you stick with that story all the way through. So your club members, by the time you get to district, your club members are tired of hearing that story from you.
I bet. We have a lunch and learn, which is something we do at work where we try to spread the knowledge of our club, or other people do it too, just to the masses to try to garnish interest. But I did a dry run today of a I think my bit's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be pretty funny. But now that I've told it once, I'm like, oh man, Holly and Jim got to sit through this thing again. They're just going to be rolling their eyes. Fortunately, it's a Skype call, so maybe it's a good practice for the contest where nobody's looking back at me. As long as I'm funny in my head, that's all that really matters, I suppose.
As long as half the people that you can see laugh, you're good. And if you're the only person you can see, as long as you're laughing, it's funny.
We are batting 1,000. 1 for 1. You know, speaking of funny people, I was doing some research for a Toastmasters project I was putting together, trying to get the word out there for new members. And I was trying to make it more relatable, so I was looking up famous Toastmasters of the past. And I was expecting to see names from prominent leaders like senators, congressmen and women, politicians, mayors, governors, people who speak regularly but very highly professionally. And one of the names I came across was Tim Allen. And that surprised me, but it also made Toastmasters instantly more relatable because I see myself as more of a funny man than I do a congressman. And in hindsight, it makes perfect sense that the communication skills gained in Toastmasters could transition to stand-up comedy. But I just remember in that moment, I was kind of taken aback, and for that moment, I've since found like even more value in Toastmasters than I already had for my professional life. If that makes any sense, I don't know. Anyways, switching gears just a little bit, what are some positives you see from this transition to online meetings due to the COVID reactions?
We had a few all online clubs, but not many. And this has really allowed that technology to be used. And it's also allowing club members to attend meetings that there's just no way they would be able to attend otherwise. I've read about members in Texas that are attending weekly club meetings in Australia. Well, there's no way we could do that. It has just expanded the area that you get to visit and really expanded the number of people that you can talk to and practice on and improve your speaking. If you're getting ready to go on a business trip overseas, look up a Toastmasters club in that country and talk to them, learn from them, learn some of the customs. It really does help.
That's good. Solid advice. I have tomorrow at 11:30. I'll double check, but there is an overseas one. I'm going to try to jump in.
Oh, awesome.
I don't really know the protocol. Do I reach out? Do I just show up? It's Zoom, right?
It's Zoom. Show up, and now they'll probably put you in a waiting room and ask you if you're really there for Toastmasters.
Oh, oh yeah. I wonder how many people try to Zoom bomb, as they say.
Exactly. That has really gotten to be a problem. It even became a problem during the contest in the spring, to the point that we were checking names off against the list of people that should be allowed into the contest, because a couple of them had gotten Zoom bombed and it was not fun.
So you were like a Zoom bouncer for the contest.
That is exactly how they described it to me when they asked me if I would do that job. I was the Zoom bouncer.
Maybe I'll slip the person a $5 just to let me in or something. Depending on exchange rates, I don't know. Well, another resource I would recommend to people is these Facebook groups. I started getting in after going to TLI last weekend, where I met a lot of cool connections. But a lot of the Facebook groups will have people posting from all over the world, Toastmasters International especially. And I do see a lot, and that's where I saw the one for tomorrow. And I probably will follow up because it's at 11:30 my time, which is perfect because that's at lunch.
Right.
And well, yeah, I'll double check that. But very exciting to go just hear people talk differently. I mean, accents are one thing, but slangs and the different flows and the vocal textures is something that you would never experience if you were just going to your local meeting here in the States.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about your role in the district. I know we mentioned that you were the Area 15 director, and we also mentioned that we have 4 clubs in our area. But how would you explain the hierarchy of the district?
So the easiest way to explain the hierarchy of the districts is District 50 is like a parent company. And then each of the divisions is a subsidiary of that parent company. And you just keep going down until you get to the club level where you have your officers that are running the business of the club. And so your president is like your CEO of your club. And then the area directors are the CEO of the area, the divisions, and all the way back up until you get to district director. And in our case, it's Monica Durden is our District 50 director.
So is that your dream someday to be up at the top?
No.
No?
Not even a little.
There's comfort where you're at, I guess, huh?
Yes, sir.
Stay with what you know. So just to get to where you are now, you mentioned earlier that you were given a application, or was it a campaign, or how did you get to area director?
It was an application. The division directors reviewed, and then ultimately it went up to the big 3 to approve or disapprove.
And you just smashed the competition.
I'm not even sure there was much competition, honestly, but I am so glad that I did it. I have really enjoyed it so far. Now, I've only been area director for about a month and a half now, and so I'm still learning the ropes and everything, but I have really enjoyed and would highly encourage anybody that even has a little bit of interest in it to put their applications in.
What are some of your roles and responsibilities?
The first role or first responsibility is that I have to visit each of the clubs in my area, and then I fill out a area director's report for those clubs. And in those reports, they're about 4 or 5 pages long. I break down everything that I saw at the meeting, and I tell the club what they're doing great and what they can try to improve upon. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is I'm in charge of the contest for Area 15. So I'm in charge of getting everything ready, making sure that we have all of the positions filled. When we have contests on site, I have to find a place for us to have a contest and everything. The only thing the district mandates that they take care of is they find the judges. They find the chief judge and then the other judges. And then the area directors take care of basically everything else.
What do you look for in a venue? Do you find like a town hall or like a church or?
We've done it in both. The first contest I competed in was at a church. It was in the fellowship hall. And then the last contest I competed in was actually there at L3 in one of the meeting rooms there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I had no idea. When do you happen to know when that was?
It would have been beginning of March.
Man, I must have just been getting started.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's real cool. I bet I could guess what conference room it is. We have one really nice one. One we show off to our friends.
It's a building that was kind of by itself. That's the only thing in it is this one big room that we had the contest in, and then that was it. That was the only thing in the building, and it was kind of fun. I'd never been out to L3 before, and trying to explain to the guard what I was doing. He just kind of looked at me because I got there early, and he's like, "You're here to do what?"
Yeah,
Toastmasters. Let me make a phone call.
We got a baker at the gate. Oh man. Well, a lot of people don't know the difference between like a corporate club and what they call a public club.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go over like some of the differences? Is there benefits to being in a corporate club? Is there not benefits to being in a corporate club? Are they managed differently?
For the most part, they're managed very similarly.
It's a good word.
For the most part, they're managed the same way.
Nailed it.
The main difference is who can join the corporate clubs. For most corporate clubs, you have to be an employee of that company. Some companies even pay all of the dues and provide everything for their employees that have joined Toastmasters. Whereas with the public clubs, anybody can join them. Sometimes companies will reimburse you for your membership dues, and sometimes they won't. But other than that, that's really the only differences.
That'd be cool. I don't think as of right now, L3 pays for dues, but maybe it'll change someday.
Well, and Awesome Articulators actually started as a public club at one point.
Oh, really? Why'd they go dark?
L3 said no more guests on campus.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Some of the there's another club. L3 has a couple clubs spread throughout, and I saw one of their rules was you have to be escorted on. And I was thinking that's probably a pain. But I bet their guards know what Toastmasters is. Oh, man. Well, is there anything you want to talk about or plug? Any upcoming contests? What to do? Where to be?
The first round of contest will be September 10th and 11th. The webpage is D50TM.org, and then select contest. And there is a link there that you can register so that you can attend the contest. Especially if you're thinking about competing, I would highly recommend attending one of the contests that happens in September so that it's not completely new to you when you are competing in October.
That's good advice. So I have been watching a lot of the various world champions
Mhm.
performances. I noticed one thing that really helps sell a speech is body language and appropriate
Mhm.
gestures. Another is really exploring the stage.
Mhm.
How would you translate those to this current 5x7 window that I'm talking to?
As part of the rules for this time is that you have to be standing
Oh,
and that half of your body has to be visible to the camera at all times. And
either half?
so, I'm sorry,
Either half?
either half.
My speech about feet is going to do wonders.
And so that is, it really does mimic the in-person setting when your camera is so far back that it's got half of your body and it shows roughly the speaking area that you would have on stage.
Well, I didn't know that that's how the contests were, but when you came to our meeting, you saw I kind of mimicked that because I miss
Mhm.
having the podium there. So if anybody is doing a meeting from a conference room, you can just set the camera on the far chair and then stand at the other end of the table at a podium, and it's almost like a real room, except all your friends are on the wall.
Exactly.
Well, do you see any major changes coming to Toastmasters in the next 5 years? Any inside info?
I wish I had some insider info, but I really don't. I know they keep improving pathways and they really are listening about they really are listening to the requests that people send in for changes for pathways. And so I think they'll just continue to improve pathways and adding paths as time progresses.
I think right before I started, people were using books. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So I remember some people at our meetings had books, and I kept waiting for my book to come, but it never came, which is fine. I can log into my book on this screen. I can log into my book at work. It makes much more sense.
Oh, I agree completely. I was the first member to join Speakeasy after Pathways was rolled out to this area. And so I actually got a book, but never opened it. I just went on. I knew that I wasn't going to finish that book before the time limit was up. And so I just went on and started straight into Pathways. And I'm really glad I did. I think it's a really good educational tool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun going through it. I'm on. I'm really new to it, and we're starting to get more members, and so we have, which is great because we have more people participating.
Mhm.
However, you only got 2 slots to speak each week, so not that I'm complaining about slowing down or anything, but I'm very excited to get up and speak next week. If you're available, you're totally invited. And
Awesome.
that spirit of competition of having 2 speakers really makes it fun.
Yes,
While it's not
sir.
the same as it used to be when we were in the same room, it's still really great, and I thoroughly enjoy all the experiences I get with the club.
Absolutely.
So one last thing about the contest, you say you don't judge, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, because I feel like Speakeasy would win every time if that was the case. Which, can we agree that is like one of the cooler names?
I really like it.
You should take credit for it.
I should. I wish I could. It's been around for 10 years now.
Oh man, well, if you know who their current president is, I'd love to get them on the show. Tell them how cool their name is.
That's actually me. I'm their current president.
Oh, nice. We'll edit that out later. Well, you don't have any kind of conflicting interest being area and prez?
Not really, because everything is. I'm a non. I don't judge. In fact, I won't even know who the judges are during the contest.
Because their screens are off.
Well, even in person, the area directors they know who the chief judge is, but all of the other judges are anonymous.
Oh,
now, you can figure it out because they're the only ones with a little sheet of paper that are making notes during the speeches, but they're supposed to stay anonymous.
Maybe they're just learning. Taking notes during my funny story.
Exactly.
How do you feel about clubs designing their own club logos? Is that a thing? Is that a new thing?
Absolutely.
Has it been around for a while?
Some clubs have done it for a while, but honestly, I don't see a whole lot of it. And I think it's because that talent just isn't in the club for somebody to be able to create those logos.
Okay. Well, we came up with one for ours, but I didn't know if it was like a widely accepted practice or if it's something we should just keep, I don't know, to ourselves. Well, it's out there on the internet now.
Show it off. Post it to the D50 Facebook group.
Okay, I will do that. I just think it's another opportunity for the VPs and PRs to really express their clubs. Like, I'm not saying I want everybody to go do a podcast because I like being the only one out there right now. Well, not podcast, but YouTube cast.
Right.
But I mean, it's just another tool, and it's a more modern way to reach people because everybody listens to these things now.
Absolutely.
And we're on the computer anyways.
Exactly. Have you found the LinkedIn group for the VP of PR for Toastmasters?
No.
There's a whole group that has thousands of the PR officers for Toastmasters all over the world. And when I was in that position, I got some really good ideas from them.
Anything you want to share? Just the successful
For
stuff.
us, it was a better way of doing our webpage and then how to get the process started for trying to do newsletters that actually somebody looked at.
That is a challenge now because there is a different flash message for every organization at least twice a day. And I know for a fact at least a handful of people that just have a rule in their Outlook that sends those right to the trash.
Yep.
But
and I hate to say it, that's me too.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the Toastmasters one, but all of the other ones, not so much.
That's what I'm saying. It's just an old idea. I mean, it worked, but it's getting to the point now where it's oversaturated. So we got to always move in creative directions.
Yes, sir.
Well, listen, anyways, I appreciate you being on the show, and I know we got off to a delayed start, so I thank you for your patience.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And since I hosted that day you visited, I'm going to have to snoop around and see if I can find that report on how you think we did.
You bet. Holly has a copy of it.
All right. Holly Graham. Nice.
I'll send you a copy of it.
Okay.
Y'all did a great job.
Awesome. Well, our numbers are starting to boost back up to where we want them to be. And I mean, heck, I'd just keep growing if we could because it's just nice to be around like-minded people.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
But anyways, you enjoy Waco, sir. And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.